What do you need to become a real estate photographer? Well, I'm a real estate photographer and I also provide training to photographers in real estate photography. So, in my humble opinion, I'm perfectly placed to answer this question for you and to help you. This is what I do. Right, here's the answer. To become a real estate photographer, you need the following skills, attributes, equipment and techniques. 1. A professional customer-based approach. 2. Great high-quality image capture capability. 3. Efficient professional business workflows. 4. Efficient professional photography workflows. 5. The right photography gear. 6. Spare gear. 7. A good working knowledge of real estate. 8. A good working knowledge of real estate market in your area. 9. Great marketing skills. 10. A website that shouts, "I'm the real estate photographer for you, hire me." 11. Secure data management. Sorry about that, by the way. 12. Insurance. 13. A professional approach and attitude to everything that you do. Yes, really. 14. Know what clients want. This is very important. And 15. A strong, positive work ethic. Right, a lot in there. This is my blog post this week on rickmcavoyphotography.com. If you want the full URL for the post, it's rickmcavoyphotography.com -- well, you get the idea, don't you? Just go to my website and it'll be there, the most recent post. It's another in the long series of posts I've written about real estate photography. And it's another post that I've done since I published my course, which I would like to point you in the direction of if you're interested in becoming a real estate photographer. Go to rickmcavoyphotography.com /courses and you can find out all about my real estate photography course and buy it. Sales pitch over, okay? So, I go through these 15 points in my blog. I'm not going to go through all of this now. I'm going to read you a little bit more, if that's okay. So, those are the headline things you need to be a real estate photographer. And I'm going to go into some of them in more detail. Like I say, my course, How to Become a Real Estate Photographer, is available. And number 1 was a professional customer-based approach. Now, I say that for a reason, and you can find out lots more about that in my course, so I'm going to move on. It's good stuff, actually. 2. Great high quality image capture capability. You're a photographer, you're expected to provide high quality imagery if you're charging money for clients to pay you to get photos. Sorry, that was an unworded sentence. Basically, if you're charging money for photos, you've got to provide professional quality photos. That was much better the second time, wasn't it? This is a given. This is a must. This is what you have to do time after time. Well composed, technically correct images time after time. You can't miss one. You've got to do it every time. If that sounds onerous, don't worry, because it's not. If you know what you're doing and you've practiced enough, then you will be fine. I'm fine. Number 3, efficient professional business workflows. Well, once you start charging money to take photos, you have to have a different mindset. You got to act like you're in business, because guess what? You charge money for photos, you're in business, so you have to act professionally. And you have to change your attitude from an amateur photographer, or an amateur photographer even, who's just taking photos as and when they choose, to someone who's charging money. It's a different mindset and you have to get into that straight away. Efficient professional photography workflows. Now, this is a biggie. This is the main thing. Now, what I'm talking about here, image capture. You got to have your image capture. You got to have a workflow that makes you take great images every time. You have to have your camera settings all nailed and preset. When I go on a shoot, the only things that I change are the aperture, if I want to change from f8, which I don't normally do. The focus point, aperture is fixed, shutter's fixed, ISO is fixed. Well, the shutter is variable because I'm shooting in AV mode, so let me try and explain that again. The only two things I change on a real estate shoot are where I'm focusing the camera, the focus point, and the composition. Everything else is set. Now, I did stumble a bit there about changing the aperture. The aperture is set at f8. If I want more depth of field for certain shots, I will change to f16. Apart from that, everything else is dialed in and doesn't get changed. And it's so good because I don't even need to think about it. Okay, apologies for that little bit of getting my words words messed up. Okay, let's try and get on with this. Processing. So I do all my processing in Lightroom and I've got a very efficient workflow. I have import presets that I use. I don't do a huge amount of processing in Lightroom, and I only use Photoshop to remove things. Now, I don't use Photoshop apart from that because, to be honest with you, I'm not very good at Photoshop. I spent a lot of time to learn it and I can't get my nut around it. I have never used layers ever on a commercial shoot. Okay, so if you're struggling with Photoshop, don't worry about it too much because I don't, and I get by. Number 5, the right photography gear. You do need the right photography gear, but you do not need a lot of gear. I use a Canon 6D, Canon 17 to 40mm lens, a tripod, a geared head. I've got a loop viewer because my eyes are getting a bit old and I need some help, and a grey card. And on 95% of my shoots, that's all I use. You don't need all this other stuff. I bought this stuff, not used it, lugged it around. I actually thought I looked more professional and important because I had a lot of gear. Silly, silly me. That's all I use. Oh, sorry, I do. I do use memory cards and batteries and cleaning stuff, but I don't have a lot of stuff. Spare gear. If your camera fails or you lose your camera bag, what are you going to do if you've got a shoot that you're being paid to do? You need spare gear. I do have a bag with spare gear in, and it has other stuff, but that stays in my car. I very rarely use anything out of there. A good working knowledge of real estate. Well, you need to know what you're photographing, and also a good working knowledge of the real estate market where you are. It's good to know what's going on, to know the market and to know people. Get known. It helps you. Great marketing skills. The most successful photographers, this is going to disappoint you. The most successful photographers are not the best photographers. Okay? The most successful photographers are not the best photographers. The most successful photographers are the best marketers and business people. Sorry, but that's the reality. You could be the best photographer in the world, but if nobody knows where you are or who you are, no one's going to use you, are they? It's a problem. Well, it's not a problem, it's something you need to be aware of. You need a website that shouts, I'm the real estate photographer for you. Go to my website, rickmcavoyphotography.com. You're not expecting to book me for a wedding when you've been to my website. You're just not going to do it because you look at it and it's all buildings and diggers and plant and vehicles. It's construction, it's architecture, it's real estate. That's all it is. There is no more. So I don't get inquiries anymore for portraits, pets, weddings, christenings, etc. Secure data management. Boring, but very important. You have to have excellent data management. We're talking about managing the data in Lightroom, managing your memory cards, where your photos are up to, and backup. You must have backups. Not sure why I'm tapping the furniture there, but that's I'm making a point. You must have backups, okay? Right, sorry. Insurance. You need insurance. A professional approach and attitude to everything that you do. I started off with this and I'm going to not finish with it, but I'm going to touch on it again. You have to be professional in everything that you do. You're not an amateur, you're making money. Know what clients want. So what do real estate clients want? What do they really, really want? They want to pay a fair price for images that they can use to market their properties. They want this with the least hassle and the least disruption to them. That's what they want. They don't want works of art. They don't want portfolio winning photos. They want decent quality photos that they can use to market properties. Okay? And your job and my job as a real estate photographer is to give them to them and make everything as easy as you can for them. A strong, positive work ethic. Last point, I'm not going to waffle on too much more. You need to have a strong and positive work ethic. It's worth repeating. If you're a real estate photographer, you're probably self-employed, so you've got to go and get the work. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to you're not going to sit on your backside and people are going to just ring you up and say, hey, here's some work for you. You've got to work at it. You've got to go out there. You've got to speak to people. You've got to find the business. You've got to make yourself visible on the internet. You've got to make yourself known. You've got to work at this, and it is hard work. Don't get me wrong. If you think it's not, you're wrong. It is hard work, but it can be very rewarding work. You get out what you put in. If you put nothing in, you'll get nothing out. If you put a lot of hard work in, you will get the benefits. The beauty of it is, the harder you work, the more you benefit. Not somebody else, you. Right then, related reading. Well, check out rickmcavoyphotography.com/real estate photography. It might be real estate photography, but go to my website, put real estate in, and a page will come up with links to all the posts, including this one. And also, please check out my courses on real estate. They're not on realestatephotographycourses.com. I wish. They're on rickmcavoyphotography.com/courses. And if there's anything else you want to learn photography-wise, check out my small but perfectly formed Photography Explained podcast. I'm done here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers from me, Rick.